Hi everyone. In this video we will have a closer look at the cloud storage services offered by public cloud providers like AWS and also the backup solutions available on the cloud. Okay, so in general, as we have already discussed in previous videos, we have multiple storage types like the file storage, block storage, and the object storage. So file storage services provided from public cloud services similar to OneDrive, Google Drive, etc., and EFS from AWS, which is the NFS share service provided from AWS that you could use either on AWS cloud directly, or you could also connect your local data center to the EFS services on Amazon. We will learn a bit about this in the upcoming slides. Okay, and we have already learned about the object storage and archive storage in the previous video, similar to Amazon S3 and Amazon S3 Glacier. So basically, again, S3 could be used for multiple use cases like storing web content, static web content, big data analytics, as well as backup and archival use cases. And AWS Glacier is used for archival purposes, where you could archive your data for several years at a low cost. Okay, what else in the cloud? You may have block storage services from your preferred cloud services provider. In this example, we will talk about the Amazon EBS, and the EBS is the virtual disk for the virtual machines, or Amazon calls it the virtual instances in AWS cloud, which is a normal, traditional virtual machine, but provided and running on AWS cloud services. Amazon calls the virtual disks ABS, so it's similar to the VMDK disks in a VMware virtual machine, maybe, but EBS is not the file extension of the virtual disk, it's the name. So ABS stands for Elastic Block Storage. Okay, great. So let's have a look on how could we connect our on-premise data center to the cloud tenant or our cloud subscription to leverage the cloud storage up there. So it's possible for you to connect your local servers on your on-prem data center to the cloud service, cloud storage from your cloud provider, similar to AWS. Okay, and this is possible through a piece of software that you install on your data center called AWS Storage Gateway that connects your local application to AWS S3, for example, and you could also use this for backup and archival purposes, and we will see more details about backup to the cloud in the upcoming slide. Great. You could also use SMB or NFS protocols directly from your on-prem servers to the cloud. So again, as we have discussed in the previous video, that you can't directly, as an end user, deal with a S3 bucket on Amazon, but the application could. So the storage gateway from AWS in this case will be translating the S3 bucket to SMB or NFS protocol for your local application. So your local applications could store files directly to the S3 bucket. And by the way, Amazon offers different flavors from its S3 or the object storage services. So it has the standard S3, S3IA, and S3 Glacier. So S3 standard has the highest performance, backed with a high performant disks. Okay, and you could also migrate your data to S3IA. IA stands for infrequent access. This is another flavor from S3. Where you could migrate the infrequently accessed data from the standard S3 bucket to S3IA, which has slower disks, and you would pay less for storing the data per gigabyte on S3IA instead of S3. Okay, but you can't directly put your data on IA. There's something called the lifecycle manager or lifecycle management on S3 that where you define a policy for your data, like a retention period, for example. So you could set it to 30 days. So the infrequently accessed data should be moved after 30 days from being placed here, should be moved automatically to IA. Okay, and also there is another flavor available, which is the Glacier, and the Glacier is the archival tier. Archival storage tier provided from AWS, and you can't directly manage your data there. So again, using the lifecycle manager for the data, your data is migrated according to a policy that you define to the Glacier, where you could back up and archive your data for several years at a very low cost. But again, this is considered an offline storage, so you can't restore or retrieve data from it instantly, but it would take some time according to your agreement with AWS, and it comes at a cost. So retrieving the data comes at a cost. It's relatively cheap, a cost, but the faster you need your data to be retrieved, the more you would pay. So if you would like to have your data recovered within 2 hours, okay, the files you choose, then you will pay more than waiting for example for 48 hours for the data to be recovered. Cool. So let's have a look on the backup solutions on the cloud and how you can back up your data from on-prem to the cloud using the cloud as an off-site backup repository for your backups. So several backup solutions like NetBackup and Veeam could integrate with cloud services like AWS. You could write from NetBackup or Veeam to virtual tapes, okay, to a virtual tape library. We'll learn a bit about tape libraries in this course, okay, later. And then through the AWS gateway, the data is moved through your WAN connection to AWS, and then will be placed on your S3. Okay. Again, to have it as an offsite backup repository. Okay, how could you migrate huge amount of data to the cloud provider? Okay, in our example here, we're discussing the services provided from AWS. All right, so AWS has a device called the Snowball, which is a big storage device. It has big amount of storage capacity. It could reach petabytes. Okay, you order this device from AWS. AWS ships it via one of the couriers to your premise, and then you hook it to your network in your data center and start moving the data, your huge data, to these devices, and then ship it back to AWS. And then AWS, once they receive the Snowball back from your data center, they will connect it to S3 and start copying the data or moving the data from the Snowball device to the S3 bucket of your choice. And then you could start seeding your data. Either it's just a production data or your backup data. Okay, but what if you're, and by the way, this device you can't own it, you just rent it, right? But what if you have petabytes of storage, a huge amount of storage? Then AWS offers also another solution. It's called the Snowmobile, which is this container on a huge truck. It could support hundreds, if I'm not mistaken, thousands of petabytes of storage on that huge container, and then it's shipped or drove back to AWS availability zone to offload the data to your S3 bucket of choice. Great. That's it for this topic. In the coming lecture, we will be having a look at the backup solutions, different backup storage solutions. I mean here, not just a backup software, but where could you back up your data when it comes to storage devices and drives. I hope this has been informative, and I'd like to thank you for viewing. Goodbye.